Thank you for watching this video, Power in Brazil, Positive Cash Flow Solutions. I am Rafael Hertzberg, consulting partner at Interact Limited, an energy consulting company based in São Paulo, Brazil. The traditional solution in the power arena in Brazil is presented in this slide. The end user, an industrial, commercial, or institutional energy user, places the capital expenditure and pays for the expenses throughout the project's life, and accordingly will get the results generated by the project. The usual criteria energy users see the project is based on four most important questions. The first one, does the internal rate of return is above the minimum demanded? Second, is the project relevant to the client's operations? Does the client have the internal muscle to go for it? And what kind of risks are there and how to mitigate them? Structured solutions are conceptually the same as the first slide shown in this presentation, with the exception that a portion of the revenues is transferred to the client. So the supplier does place the capital expenditure, the expenses of the project throughout its contract life, and accordingly gets a substantial portion of the revenues. And the client gets a fraction of the revenues. Interact was hired by Dixie Toga to come up with power-related solutions for their plants spread out in Brazil. This plant is based not too far away from the São Paulo city, and we came up with the idea of connecting this plant to a high voltage access, given the financial and technical advantages back then. The client was very interested and decided that they would not be interested in placing capital money on the project, but accepted the idea of the third-party solution, such as the BOT model. This is a very interesting and emblematic case involving a training company which has operations in Brazil, one of them in Guarulhos, in the greater São Paulo metropolitan area. CAE was complaining about unplanned interruptions by the local utility company and contracted Interact to come up with solutions. The idea was basically very simple, installing emergency gensets, but the client told me immediately that they were not interested in investing in the solution, so they accepted the idea of having a build, operate, and transfer arrangement. So in order to make this positive cash flow, Interact came with the idea of specifying that the provider would have to install, operate, and own the genset throughout the long-term contract, and accordingly would operate the genset during the peak hours because the utility rates were a lot higher than the variable genset costs. So this was a very interesting project that was feasible, and the client contracted the provider in an 8-year arrangement. This is the typical business model. The client contracts the provider in a long-term arrangement. When this provider starts delivering services or commodities as contracted, then the client starts paying a monthly fee based on the contractual arrangements. And because this is basically a new animal for the client, the usual solution is contracting a third-party independent consultant to help the client throughout the whole process. These are the most important advantages and commitments associated with structured solutions. The first point is a positive cash flow from the client's perspective. It is an outsourced solution, and this makes the whole situation very simple for the client. It brings professionalism since the very beginning to the table, because if the right solution provider is contracted, then this guy should be at ease with these kinds of projects. The fourth point is minimizing risk. Since the solution provider is very experienced with structured solutions, it minimizes the risks involved. And the final one is a quicker fix. It means that since the solution provider is very experienced with these solutions, potentially it will be a lot quicker as opposed to considering an internal solution. But on the other hand, there are at least 4 very important points from the client's perspective. First is the need to maintain a very good relationship throughout the contract life with this third party. It means that very high level executives should be involved since the very beginning. Managers should be very close to the contract because they should control whatever is happening with the contract. And most importantly, since this is a long-term commitment, the company, the client, should make sure that it is committed in the long run. Thank you for watching this video, and here goes my contact information. Make sure to get in touch if you would like to explore your options regarding structured solutions.